Okay guys, here it is, vlog number 1, Audi R8 V10plus. Okay, up front and centre, this is a working detailing studio. It is not a film set. I'm sorry, I don't have all of the fancy equipment, the fancy microphones and the fancy cameras. I promise my commitment to you is to get those things and improve. But I can't get to video 100 if I don't do video 1. So what have we got? Audi R8, black of course, in for single stage enhancement, ceramic coating to the paint and ceramic coating to the wheels. We'll do a quick walk around with the car shortly. There's a lot going on, there's a lot of problems. Even though it's only in for a gloss enhancement, as I often do, I'll spend 30 minutes to an hour with a small DA, spot pads and microfiber pads with a compound, and I'll just nip out any small sanding marks, repairs, clusters of scratches. The idea with the gloss enhancement is to create an overall improvement. It's not really of use improving panels by, let's say, 50%, but still having clusters of deep marks here and there looking ugly. So I don't know what other people do, but I'll usually spend 30 minutes to an hour. I'll just try and get rid of those systematically, and then I can polish the whole vehicle after that. That way, 50% improvement, 75% improvement, whatever it is. But at least we know that when we roll it outside, as an overall, the car looks wicked. So let's have a look what's going on.
What you see here is damage caused from general wash maintenance and probably from the pre-sale preparation. Over time the vehicle has accumulated surface damage ranging from basic marring to swirls and scratches. This is due to mechanical abrasion during what was probably a poor wash routine and very possibly from cheap wash media also. You'll often see heavier damage around areas like handles and gloss blacks and other places where the vehicle is touched more when doing things like opening and closing doors. If you've got lots of pretty patterns on the car that look like there is polish still on the surface, that means your car's been polished badly. These are holograms caused from a rotary polisher that are completely unrefined. These will seemingly dance as the light passes over them. Do not be fooled, they should not be there. The worst parts of this car are without question the repainted areas. The matte parts that you can see, they're sanding marks where they've been trying to remove texture from the paint, and then of course you've got the holograms that you saw on the previous panels. That's where they've been trying to polish out the sanded areas. But before we address any of those problems, we're going to have to finish pulling off all of the satin wrap that the other guys haven't. So job one when it comes to machining is the sanding marks. If I'm going to create any dust at all, it's going to be at this stage, so I want to do it first so that I can clean up as and when required. For this stage I'm going to be using Koch Chemie H901 coupled with Buff and Shine Euro Fibre pads. This will be on a small 75mm machine. Compounding like this allows me to work in small areas very safely, producing very little heat. As you can see, the sanding marks go all the way to the edges of the panels, which means I have to compound to the edges of the panels. Contrary to popular belief, this can be done very safely, but it does require constant monitoring. Shooting in real time proves that no edges were harmed in the making of this video. Once the compound is fully broken down, we remove it with plush cloths. When I perform the enhancement later, I will go over these areas to further refine and create even more gloss. It's very important to maintain your pads properly during polishing. After each individual set, I spur them out with a brush, and then after every panel, I will blow them out with a compressor. After every few panels, I'll replace for a new one. So given that the front and rear bumpers had both been treated the same, and couple that with the satin black wrap that we found in places, it's pretty easy to see that once upon a time this vehicle was completely wrapped in a satin black, potentially to cover some damage, and then once that wrap was peeled badly, the repairs were done, ready for sale. So we had sanding marks and holograms to the front and to the rear, and then on a few panels in between. All of these areas were treated the same. Obviously this level of damage isn't usually covered during an enhancement detail. At times like this it's prudent to get in touch with the owner, explain to them what you found, explain to them why you think it's happened, and then formulate a plan with the owner to deal with it. Onto the gloss enhancement proper. The goal here is to maximise both cut and finish without the cut compromising the finish. So what I will usually do is spend a little bit of time testing pads and polishes together. I'll take it right to the point where I'm starting to create haze. I'll come back a few percent and then I will replicate that over the entire vehicle. Here you'll see I've actually started with a small machine and a microfiber pad, but this time instead of a compound I'm using the polish that I'm going to use over the rest of the vehicle. I'll break that down to a point, leave it on the panel. I don't need to remove that then. I can go over the whole thing, including that area, with the desired combination, and then when I buff it off together, I know that I'll be finished clean. This is just to remove the deeper marks around the handle where hands have been rubbing and causing scratches. The polish that I'm using is Roberlo F910. Initially this is on a Eurofiber pad again, and then I'll jump to the 15mm machine, and I'll be using Lake Country Hydrotech pads, Tangerine, which is the polishing pad, and that will be used over the rest of the vehicle in both 150mm and 90mm. As you can see, I've already cut in around the wing mirror. I used the small machine in front, the residue is still on, and I also used the nano machine behind so I could just tuck in and get as close as I can. That's already been removed, but that was using the same liquids and the same pads. I'm actually using a cleaning solution called Optimum No Rinse to buff off the polish. This is the most efficient way I have found to remove the maximum amount of residue, meaning that there's much less work for my panel wipes to do later on in preparation for the coatings. The more residue I remove now, the less I've got to remove later, the better inspection will be, and the more efficient the coatings will go on. Cleanliness is next to godliness. It's absolutely critical that we clean this paint to a microscopic level to allow effective bonding of the ceramic coatings. less isn't always more when it comes to ceramic coatings. Yes, it's a little bit wasteful, but I find that wet, even coatings yield the best results, especially when it comes to a product like Titan. Here you will see me constantly adding fresh product to my applicator. A potential over application simply means much better lubricity when applying. Titan is a lovely coating to install. It isn't picky at all. I apply it wet to wet, and you have plenty of time for removal even in hot weather. For a 3-year semi-self-healing coating, it really couldn't be easier to put on. After application, a cursory inspection for missed spots is a must. With a coating like this, you can still go back and add more product even now, but of course, there are no missed spots. Removal of Titan is as much of a breeze as the application, but this part is absolutely critical that you get it right. Should you miss a spot and leave a high spot, you will be left with a thick piece of coating that will either need to be machined or sanded off. My technique is to wipe away in straight lines, effectively leveling the coating further. I'm not trying to get full removal, just 90 or 95% removal. Let it level afterwards, and then I can come back later on with a second cloth and do a second buff and make sure that I've picked up every single smear that I may have left after the first one. It's also critical at this point that you go to adjacent panels to make sure that you haven't left high spots during the buffing with the first cloth. It's very easy to move product from one panel to another. If you don't remove that, that is where you will get your high spots. So that's it, video 1 completed. I hope you enjoyed it. Although I do consider this entry-level work, I hope it shows the lengths that we go to, and that half-decent results are not quick, easy or cheap, nor should they be. If you have questions regarding products and processes, you can drop them in the comments below. If you're interested in having work done, please get in touch directly. And if you're here to pass judgment on my lack of tech skills or my Manc accent, save it. My feelings are impervious to your comments because I already know that everything that you're going to say is true. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.